I think it's safe to say that Meta Horizons is dead, and not dead as in it's fully dead. It's more like on its hands and knees begging its dad to put it out of its misery. Don't get me wrong, the metaverse isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but this VR chat knockoff that Meta's trying to go for is just not. It's not it. Because let's just be honest, Meta Horizons is doing worse than Kanye West's relationship with Adidas. But what exactly went wrong with Meta Horizons? Was it just a cheap knockoff, or was it a gold mine waiting to be capitalized on? Basically, just take VR chat, wash any character that game has, and you have Meta Horizons. Meta Horizons is a social platform created by Meta shortly after the whole Facebook rebranding extravaganza. This is generally the first thing that came out of Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse, since it was the first piece of software to be named as a Meta product. While, yeah, you could consider it to be the stepping stone to the metaverse, we all know that this is just a cheap knockoff of VR chat or even Rec Room to some degree. You can dumb it down, or really any of these applications, down to just joining a social platform as an avatar and interacting with people. But nobody gives a rat's ass about Horizon World, so let's move on to VRC, or better known as Virtual and Realcom, is better known as just VR chat. It was the first of its kind, coming out before even Horizon Worlds or Rec Room. And it's not even the most accessible out of the main three, that being Rec Room, because you can be a 12-year-old twat playing Fortnite on your tablet and still be able to Fortnite dance on people playing paintball. You've most likely heard of VR chat at this point, especially if you're someone with any sort of experience being in virtual reality. VR chat is by far the most known and talked about social platform. It's not really as focused on mini games like Rec Room or a genre-defying form of entertainment like Horizon, but it's still the most known since most of the VR community plays or has played in VR chat. Let's face it, the metaverse has a worse reputation than anybody who buys a $70 game in 2022. I don't know what PR team Meta has, but they're obviously not explaining very well what the metaverse is supposed to be. Is it a social platform for VR, or is it solely for business people? Personally, I don't know either, but if I have to go look at these basic-ass avatars one more time, I'm going to throw a Quest 2 inside of an industrial deep fryer. I find it absolutely hilarious that this company that's worth millions of dollars also happens to have these avatars that look like they're trying really hard to not shit themselves every time they move. Avatar design aside, the metaverse community is almost non-existent. If someone walked up to me and said that their most used VR application was Meta Horizons, I would get a tactical nuke and create a crater bigger than that of Hiroshima. But there's no community for Horizons, there's no player-generated content, there's no game modes outside of what Meta has created, and overall it just turns into this completely sanitized version of VR chat. While Rec Room also has something similar where most worlds are created by the Rec Room team, you can play this on an Xbox, so I'm removing it from the general conversation of this video. Horizons has no identity. Is it the platform to play minigames on? Is it just a social platform? Here's an idea. It's absolutely none of them. You don't have the subculture of VR chat. You don't have any user-generated content. You really don't have any substance. And most importantly, because of all this, you don't have an active player base that actually sticks around. And meanwhile, we have the godsend that is VR chat. VR chat actually has a good player base. I wrote the script for this video at like 10 p.m. at night, and even then, it still had 30,000 people actively online. Not only that, but you can actually understand what this game is supposed to be from its advertising. It's clearly a social platform in VR, and you could be practically any avatar you'd like. If you want to be a realistically sized Godzilla, you'll have a Saints Row YouTuber in your DMs asking for feet pics. If you want your anime waifu to be your avatar, you can make an OnlyFans and become the next Andrew Tate. With the way VR chat handles its moderation when it comes to avatar models, it's basically the Wild West of social interaction. Sure, we have the dark side of VR chat that's actually really fucking weird and scary, and maybe children shouldn't be playing this game, but that's not the point. You know me, I'm just trying to play some Battleless, maybe make fun of some furries. You know, good time. But you have real events, only something you can see in VR chat. Not some pre-recorded concert of Post Malone inside the metaverse. What you get in VR chat is only happening in VR chat. You can't watch this anywhere else unless it's just a recording. But let's stop complaining and offer some advice on how to fix it. Give the app some actual identity. What are you wanting Horizons to be? Is it concerts? Is it a social platform? Mini games? Again, it just doesn't have a clear identity that really needs to be addressed before the metaverse can happen. Number 2, make it more accessible than just Meta headsets. I know. Asking Meta to do literally anything outside of their own services is like trying to tell Apple to ship their products with Windows installed. VR chat wouldn't be nearly as popular if you couldn't at least try the game before you purchase. VR is already a niche area of gaming to get into, especially if you've never tried any of the applications that come along with it. Even a simple desktop mode or a phone app that would be better than solely living on the Quest 2. Actually advertise your game. You want to know where I see the most ads for Horizon? Facebook, the platform not only backed by the same company as Horizons, but also a platform that's slowly dying. You want to know where I see VR chat being talked about? People within the VR community just playing it naturally. And I don't mean to give you any ideas, Meta, but my wallet's a little dry. If you clearly need someone to talk about your game, so Hey baby, you want to take me home tonight? It doesn't take an entire multi-million-dollar company to make a social platform in VR. The people behind VRChat are clearly not as big as Meta and still manage to outperform them almost every single day. If Meta really wants people to be a part of this metaverse and not just your average Reddit user using Wall Street bets, then they're going to have to think about the consumer for once. It's just an awful sight to see this once major VR company get purchased, then transformed into something that doesn't appeal to the mass majority of VR users.